Welcome to Two Humans Talking, the podcast that talks about what it takes to be healthy and stay healthy in this modern, fast-paced world. We talk about everything from your health, your relationships, your money, because at the end of the day, if all areas of your life are not coming together, are you really a fully healthy person? No, you're stressed, you're worried, you feel alone, and you're isolated. And so today, I am so excited to be bringing you Verne. We are going to be talking about what it's like to lose important people in your life and how you keep going when it's heavy and it's sad and you're not sure which way is up. And so I really encourage you to listen along. And if you think of a friend who could be encouraged by the conversation we're having, please send them this episode and just let them know you were thinking of them. And so with that, Verne, thank you so much for being here. I love your energy. I love your heart. Just talking to you in the green room before we hit record, like I can see your love for life and your love for people. And I just think that's so beautiful. So go ahead and introduce yourself to the listeners, who you are, what makes you you, how you're sparkling in this world.
Well, my name is Verne Mcinnis, but I am known on the social media streets as Elevate with Verne, hence Elevate. And I do help people to stop their negative scarcity mindset thinking and think positive and live their ideal life, not their best life, because we're not living no best life. We're living our ideal life. And just knowing that every day is not going to be rosy. Every day is not going to be, you're going to be happy. However, you have a bad day. You don't have a bad life. And when you know that,
Mm.
listen, when you know that and you realize that, today I'm not feeling so cheery, but it's gonna be okay. And that's okay. People think that you're always supposed to be happy. So I'm a Christian and a lot of people, but you're a Christian, you're not supposed to get upset. I'm a human and I have feelings and it's an emotion that I
Have you read the Bible? There's a lot of not so great days there.
okay. Exactly. So that's who I am. And I just love to help people and encourage people, motivate people, inspire people, and elevate people.
So good. I love that. I also believe that, you know what, like I'm a very sunshine and rainbows person, and it can be really triggering to people who are like in it, right? Where it's dark and it's heavy and they are truly surviving. And it's like the world doesn't poop sunshine and rainbows, woman. And it's like no one said it did. I have hard days too. But even in the hardest, darkest moments of my life, I have always paused to be grateful for the things that are in my favor
Exactly.
because I don't ever want those gifts to be stripped either, right? To be so complacent, because I don't know about you. I've been there where you don't recognize the gifts that you've been given until they've been
Mm-hmm.
taken away. And then you're like, oh my God, I didn't even know. And so now those hard days, it's like, okay, this is hard. What am I grateful for in the last 24 hours? And
Absolutely.
just bringing that in brings peace to even the crappy moments.
It does. You have to have the joy on the inside of you with God's help, even though it's like we're getting ready to get snow. We actually got snow today, and it's like, ugh. So, right. But I'm still like, you know what? I'm still happy and cheery. I am on a podcast with my friend here. And, when you realize you have those connections in life, even though it's a bad day, even though the day doesn't look nice, it's not sunshiny, you bring the joy. When you walk into the room, you should be lighting that room up. You should be able to shift the energy in that room. It's dark, it's a whole bunch of blackbirds. You should be the little yellow parakeet that walks in there and people are like, oh my god, hi, good to see you. That's what I want to portray to people.
Yes. And I want, like, you can do that without lying to yourself or the world about what you're going through.
That's right.
You can be going through, like, I've been through domestic violence. I've gone through miscarriages. Like, I've had
Mm,
some crap happen, right?
yeah,
And it was like, I still gave myself space for that. And I didn't pretend that everything was okay. But I
mhm,
didn't need to like dump that on everyone around me. I didn't need to pretend that I was superwoman
exactly.
and like pretend it didn't happen and try to be positively toxic either. But like,
Mhm.
I didn't need to bring that energy with me. It's things that I was experiencing. It didn't need to become my identity. And I
Exactly.
didn't need to pass that on to other people,
Exactly.
you know? So with for you, like you shared with me backstage that, your mom passed away giving birth to you. I feel like I imagine that there's a lot to unpack with that as you're growing older. Like
Mhm.
what was that like learning that like your mom literally sacrificed her life as you came into
Mhm.
this world? And I'm
It's
going to
it's
need my tissues.
it's always tough. It's always tough. There are good days and bad days. There are days when I am like, why did I survive? Why didn't she survive? Why didn't we both survive? Or why didn't we both pass or whatever? And you have to understand that you're here for a reason. And there are days where I still have survivor's remorse. I'm not even going to lie. I'm being very transparent. There are days where I'm like, I just wish my mom was here that I can talk to her. But this is the thing. I did not know I was adopted growing up my entire life. I didn't know until I was an adult. I was 21 and a half years old, married with four babies, and my adopted mom told me I was adopted, and I thought she was joking. I thought it was a joke. I did not believe her for like almost a year.
Oh
Almost
my
a
goodness.
year. And then I don't know, something just clicked, or some family member said something. You know how family members are. They always say something that they have no business. And it was just something weird. You know that. It was just something weird. And then I was like, did you really tell me that, or was I dreaming? And then she died the next year. My adopted mom died. So she only gave me that much information. I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do with that much info? So I'm talking to my husband at the time, and he was like, well, you'll figure it out, whatever. And then the next year he passes. Child, who has time to look for family when now I'm trying to grieve two important people in my life? So
Right?
now I'm 23. I'm a young widow. It is awful. And how do I get through this? How do I go on? Right? I don't know. But I have to find the strength from within me, and I have to find the 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 oomph that's inside of me to keep going. Was it tough? Absolutely, because there are days when my kids would be like, "Where's daddy?" And I'm like, "Oh my goodness, like what am I going to tell them?" They were all small. They were under 5 years old, and I had four of them. What am I going to do? My youngest baby was 8 months old, so she doesn't even really know him. I am remarried now. She knows my new husband, right, as dad. She calls him dad all the time. And it was just, there are days where I just cry, but I didn't cry in front of them. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Oh, I didn't
Don't
cry in front
apologize
of
for feeling.
I
You
didn't
feel
cry in front of them. I would like go in the bathroom and cry or go in the kitchen. But as you are breaking down, kids don't care. Not that they don't care, but they don't realize it. So you're crying, they're still coming up to you. Let's go outside and play. Let's do this. Let's do that. Right? Because they don't understand the depth of what I went through. I didn't only just lose your dad, I lost my husband, my spouse,
right.
and I lost my mom before that. So it was hard. But you don't have to be superwoman. You can take a mental health day and just say, look, I need this time to myself. Whether it's to watch TV, eat ice cream, cake, cry, or whether it's to do nothing. You have to make time for you, because if you don't take care of you, you can't take care of anyone else in your family. You know that old saying, when you're on the airplane, put the cup on your face first, because how you going to get the oxygen to them if you're
If you're
wonky,
out of
right?
hospital, yeah. You know, so many women, if they were giving advice and looking at their friends' lives, they'd be like, girl, like you can't pour from an empty cup. Like we say it all the time, we see it, but for whatever reason, the meaning of how to actually do that for ourselves, or believing that we've earned space to fill our
Mm,
own cup, or to pause to recognize we haven't filled our cup, is like foreign to us sometimes.
mhm,
Because I
mhm.
can't tell you how many girlfriends who will be the first to be like, you're doing too much. You need to take a break. Let me take the kids from you, but are drowning themselves because they don't know how to
Mhm.
actually implement their best advice for themselves.
Yes, that's
So
me.
for that woman who's like, I hear you intellectually, I know this. Like,
Mhm.
I don't even know how to like do that, even if I had 30 seconds to give myself. Like, what does that even look like? From your experience, like what worked for you in that, like learning how to take care of yourself differently?
Well, it was a lot of different things. So definitely being a Christian, that definitely grounded me. Um, just talking to God and telling him, okay, so now you have me in this space. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to get through this? I need someone in my life that can help me. And I did. I had a young lady that I knew, her brother and sister were ministers, and I happened to go along with them, and I got involved in their church. And then I just started doing life. I just started living life because I wasn't living. I was just kids work, kids work. There was never time for
Like
me.
going
There
through
was
the
never
motion.
time to stop. Yes. Yes. The grieving process, I will say this, there's no time limit to it. Some people can get over it quickly, some people can't. I will tell people, however long it takes you to grieve, then do that. And if you have to reach out for help, because it was not offered to me, I want to let you know, go get therapy, go talk to someone, go get counseling. It is important. And I wish it was offered to me, but it wasn't. So for me, I had to be that strong woman that had to go through and do it on my own. But thank God I had friends that were around, not so much family. And I'm not even going to lie to you, not so much family, but mostly friends that turned into family that really, really helped me to become a better woman.
When I think about the times, so I lost my dad when I was 21, 22 years old. So I was just a brand new adult, right? And I had a lot of resentment towards my family because here I am, I'm a kid, my dad just died, and like, how can you be so selfish right now and so self-absorbed and not even see me? Like, my dad died, right? And now when I look back, it's like, oh yeah, they were grieving too. They had their own losses to process.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes our families, they have their own stuff to navigate especially when there's a loss within a family that they cannot hold your grief to. And that is why, like, your friends who love you, but it doesn't impact them the same way, becomes so important.
Important.
So important for helping you see the future, helping you see how you bring that forward, helping you navigate the messiness of it, because your family has their own stuff too, and it's not that they don't love you, but
Yeah.
and I just couldn't see that because I was still a kid. But as for a 40-year-old woman now, I'm like, oh man. Like,
Community is important.
yeah, I spent so
Friendships.
upset with my aunt when my dad died because it's like, I know you lost your brother, but like, I lost my dad and you treated me like I was like the sweet street
Mm.
sweet. Like, I just don't. She was so worried about getting what was hers,
Ah,
holding on, that like, and I spent 20 years not upset, but just kind of like, I have no use for you, the way you behaved when stuff happened. Like, that's just not the kind of people I want to be around. And here is my 40th birthday, just last August. And every year I get a birthday email, hope you're well. And every year I'm just like, whatever. Like, if that makes you feel good, whatever. And as I started responding this year, I haven't responded in 20 years. And
mm.
and I never hit send, but the things that came out was, I forgive you for grieving too. Because like, when I think about how you treated me, I could never have done that to my niece, no matter what I was feeling about the loss of my own brother. But like, you had to do what you had to do, but don't pretend that like everything's supposed to be okay either. Like, because we all make a choice. I've never talked about that out loud. And so
Wow.
I think
Wow. Ah.
about it today. We were supposed to talk about that today, and that just growth of recognizing that, you know what, people make poor choices. They could have handled things better, and they have their own timeline and storyline. And we can't expect them to be a story that they weren't meant to be.
That's right.
And have their own stuff to worry about,
Everybody has their own journey. And like I said, grief doesn't have a time limit, and people grieve differently, and especially in family. Have you ever seen family that as soon as someone died, the whole family is in chaos?
Yeah.
That's because they don't know how to release that energy of, I don't feel good, or I am missing mom, I'm missing dad, I'm missing husband. What do I do? You don't have time to yell and scream, because then they're going to look at you and like, what's wrong with you? Why you got to act up, So yeah, you have to find your space.
My aunt and my uncle, when my dad passed, they have not talked in 21 years. That's how ugly things were when my dad passed. Because like, they just like,
Mm,
and everyone has their own stuff. Doesn't make it right or wrong.
mhm.
You have to figure out like what kind of people do you want to be surrounded by, and what kind of support do you need independent of people dealing with their own stuff,
Mhm,
you
mhm.
know?
Some of it could be jealousy or resentment or, oh my goodness, I wish I would have did this and did that with them. And this is what I tell people. There's no woulda, shoulda, coulda. Do it or don't.
Yep.
Because you don't want regret. Regret is awful.
Or
Regret is
like
awful.
survival of making sure I get what's mine afterwards. Like, oh my God, like estates
Been there.
will tear a family
Been
apart.
there. It's a well.
You had talked about like grief has no timeline. Someone recently, I heard someone say it in like within the last year, that grief is an outpouring of love where it's no longer able to be returned.
Hmm.
And that transformed my viewpoint of grief, because I thought of grief as something sad and heavy and almost like a burden, and just like that deep darkness and pool. And I was just like, how beautiful is that then, to have the gift of grieving a loss,
Mhm.
the loss of a relationship, even if they're still living.
Yeah.
Like, it's just unreturned love. And like
Mhm.
the ending, the closing of the book of a storyline that never got finished the way you thought it would.
Yeah. 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 And you can't change what happened, but you have to learn how to accept it.
Yes.
Accept what you cannot change. And you can't change it. That's life. We can't go back.
What are your, I can share mine, but I'd love to hear yours. Like, when a chapter closes and there is like a clear, the door is shut,
Mhm.
what are some of the things that you like to do in that processing to transition from what used to be to what is becoming?
Definitely just learning who you are, what you will accept, what you won't accept, especially in relationships, um, what you will and won't put up with, right? Because we women put up with a lot and then we leave a relationship and hop right back in another one. It's the same thing. No, there are limits and standards and boundaries that you have to set for yourself and for the other person. Even with family, right? Family wants to borrow money, you give it to them. And then when you are down and you need it, which is rare, right? Because you're always helping everyone else. No one is around to help you. Now, what do you do? Now is when you set your boundaries. You be like, you know what? I'm not able to help you out. I just can't do it. You have to have the capacity to handle certain situations. If you don't, you let them know. You know what? I don't have the capacity today to talk to that person. I don't have the capacity today to lend you money because it. I just feel I always get the short end of the stick. Like, you have to be honest and say it. Have values, have morals, and stand on it. Stand on it. It's
I
gonna
love you
be
enough.
hurtful, but stand on it.
Yes, I love you enough to tell you no.
Period. Yes.
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 Um,
Mm.
I love that. For me, one of the things that I've learned to be really helpful is thinking about the pieces of me that I really admire, that are strong characteristics and things that I want to embody about myself, to bring them forward with me, and recognizing the things that I didn't quite like about myself when I look back, those characteristics, those reactions, um, the boundaries I did or didn't establish,
Mhm.
and then figuring out like what that looks like if I were to improve them. Like, well, what if I didn't like that, then how would I like it? And what can I do differently moving forward? Almost like responsibility of self. So to ensure that like I'm not stepping back into the same things,
Mhm.
and that we're growing, and that it wasn't a loss, but more of like a launch pad for
Mhm.
something, for the next thing to come.
It's
I do that.
like money issues, right? Financial issues. You may have had bad credit, or maybe you had a bankruptcy, or you lost a house or lost a car. But now you took the time, you cleaned it up. Now you know, okay, I can't just take that and spend it all now. I have to like break it down. I can only spend this much. And I don't think there's anything wrong with people being on a budget. And I know people are like, I don't want to be on no budget. But you know what? A budget does help. It really does. It keeps you accountable. It keeps you accountable. And when you take accountability for self worth, right? when you take accountability of, oh, I did that. That was my mistake. You're maturing.
Can I tell you and share my unpopular opinion? People who say, I don't want to live on no budget aren't making enough.
Listen.
And they're accepting a minimum life.
Mm-hmm.
We've all had to have our minimum wage jobs. We've all been successful, had to go back, what have you. But if you're stopping there and then you're being like, I'm not living on a budget, like that's ridiculous. I want to live. Well, then you need to figure out how to earn some more money for yourself and your family, learn some new skills, get in different doors, because everyone, whether you're a billionaire or not, they know how their spending works.
Yes.
They know where they're what's investing and what's play money, and they're very clear about that.
That's right. That's right. And I look, I'm a coupon at the dollar store. Don't play with me. When they have the coupons, and instead of me paying $1.25 or $1.50 for one, and I can get 3 or 4 for 75 cents, listen, I'm getting it. Okay. So I don't think it's anything wrong with that. I think you actually come out better.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you? It's just like, I can't believe this was the thought that just came to my head. I was like, it's no different than playing the tax game. And people think that people are working the system. No, there are rules to the game. Play accordingly, because there are things that you get to keep if you know how to play the game. It's like playing Risk or Monopoly. Like, there are rules to the game for you to come out ahead. Why wouldn't you use them to your advantage by understanding them?
Exactly.
Same with coupons and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Because I think people don't want to do the work that it takes to do that. It takes work to make a budget. You actually have to sit down. You have to put down how much your bills are, how much you're spending. Some of us, Dunkin' Donuts, that's me, right? How much we're spending, how much are we saving, how much is this bill? Is that a bill that is a monthly bill? Is that a bill that's a quarterly bill? These are things you have to know. And I think when you see it on paper, that's where people don't want to see it.
Well,
I don't spend that much. Yes, you do.
It comes with ownership.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's easier to lie to yourself than face the reality.
Mm-hmm. When you put down how much you really spend at fast food instead of cooking, and you see that number, you're like, I don't spend that. Yes, you do. And that's what we have to say. Maybe we can only treat ourselves once a month instead of 4 times a month. Budget.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's those $3 to $7 expenses that you don't think about in the moment, that all of a sudden you're like, oh crap. No wonder I wasn't able to pay off my credit card bill last month for the expenses, because I didn't have it. I didn't realize how often I was swiping the card for little things.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Oh, so good. Verne, as we are wrapping up today's episode, is there anything left in your heart that you wanted to share today, or something you want to leave our listeners with?
Especially women, you are a person first, and we get into relationships, marriages, we become moms, we become maybe corporate CEOs or whatever, and we forget who we are. Always remember who you were before you got into that. There's a saying that I do not like, and it's especially with couples, is you complete me. I tell my husband all the time, you don't complete me. I was completed before you came. Because you were somebody before that person came. But once you become a wife and a mom and all that, you forget who you are. Keep a hobby. Keep something that only you like to do. Maybe your husband doesn't like to crochet or doesn't like to go to the mall. Do something that you like to do. What makes you happy? And when we remember us, then we can be a good mom, be a good wife, be a good sister, be a good friend. But don't forget who you are. If you like to play in makeup, if you like to just walk around antique shops, because I love that, right? Just do what makes you happy, and make sure you schedule that time in at least once a month. Once a month. I don't care what's going on. Besides, your thing with God, because like I said, I'm a Christian. Besides my time with God, I make sure I schedule in something in for me. Even if it's to take a Saturday off and do nothing, to sit and watch Lifetime movies and eat Haagen-Dazs ice cream, because that's my thing, right? So And pound cake. How did I like you in pound cake? That's my thing in Lifetime movie. But I'm sitting there like, oh, run, girl, run. So schedule something for you and don't forget who you are because you are somebody.
Oh, that is
You
so
are.
beautiful. Verne, how do we connect with you outside of the show?
Awesome. You can connect with me via Facebook. You can connect with me via my website. I have a pin site website, Elevate with Verne. You can find all those links on my YouTube page and on my Facebook page. I'm also on TikTok. So Elevate with Verne on all of those. And if you go to my pin site website, you can actually book a call and leave me a message and we can talk and all that good stuff.
I absolutely love this real, raw conversation we've had. I know it is going to benefit so many women. And I just wanted to say thank you for being here. And so, with that, that is Q who's talking. I will see you next time. Bye.
Bye bye.
Thanks for watching. I hope you found this episode as inspiring and actionable as I did. If you're ready to stop just surviving and start living a life where your health, your relationships, and your career work together without the burnout, then it's time that you join the Modern Woman Society. Inside, I'll walk you through my life GPS system, a proven blueprint to help you have it all while thriving. You'll gain tools, coaching, and the kind of clarity that brings big dreams to life without the stress, overwhelm, guilt, and shame that the modern woman is used to. We're going to create a life where you feel energized and excited to wake up every day and fulfilled when you put your head on the pillow. Click the link below to learn more and join countless other women who are redefining success on their terms. Because the life you've dreamed about is closer than you think. I'll see you on the inside.